Hello, everyone. I am popping on here very quickly to talk about Cancer season. I wanted to share some information that I've been noticing over the last few days, and a lot of people I've been communicating with as well have been voicing their concerns over the energy lately. And you can call it concerns or you can call it just their feelings. But the last few days since the new moon in Cancer has been quite intense. So I don't know how you're feeling out there. And I wanted to just jump on and share some of the things I've been experiencing and other people have been experiencing as well, in case you are experiencing some of the similar energies and how to manage in a healthy way at this time. So we're in Cancer season. I believe it was a week ago that we started Cancer season, the summer solstice, as well as Cancer season. Then we had the new moon in Cancer 3 days ago, I think it was. And here I was thinking that we were going to get a bit of a break, that we were going to have a bit of a quiet time energetically and a soft time where we can just enjoy ourselves and just dive into something very subtle and soft. But it was actually quite intense for me. So I don't know how you were feeling during the Cancer new moon, but for myself and for many others who I've been speaking with, it was actually quite emotional. So if you have been noticing emotions rising to the surface, a lot of confusion, a lot of anxiety, or even just sadness or anger or old memories from the past, that's completely normal. A lot of people are experiencing those symptoms, if you will, or those experiences at this time. So like I mentioned, the last new moon could have been very intense for some of you out there. I was feeling and I was hoping that it might be a bit of a break, but again, for myself, it was quite intense. And new moons are all about clean slates. And I want to just chat about Cancer energy in general and why it's very important to spend some time with self. Cancer season is all about, and Cancer energy is all about the intuition, about the heart space and home. And we've been through a very, very transformative last couple months, especially. I mean, the last 2 years have been extremely challenging on many fronts. We've all gone through a lot of transformation on some level, and a lot of it's internal. So when we go through the moons, and this is something I focus on, and I have a Cancer rising, so I'm very sensitive to moon energy. That's why I work with it. But when we go through certain phases, and it's going to affect everyone differently based on your zodiac, of course. But I find when we go through a lot of the water, new or full moons, a lot comes up to the surface, a lot of emotions, and it might be delayed. It might be the day after because of the energy that is hitting us at a specific time. So the energy comes into us. We get to work with that energy if you work with the full or new moons. And the one with this last new moon with Cancer was very much about returning home. So what home means for us, what home means for you. So what does home mean after you've gone through the last, we'll go several months, but the last 2 months especially were very, very important. Everything that you've learned and everything that you've experienced over the last couple months, especially since that full moon in Scorpio, is all about integration. And yeah, it can be more severe because supermoon is when it's closest to the planet. And guess what? We have another supermoon in 2 weeks. No, in less than 2 weeks now. We have a supermoon in Capricorn, but it's going to be closer to the planet than Sagittarius was. And Sagittarius was our last full moon. So yes, they are intense because the moon is closer. So the energy definitely can be more intense at that time. So I want to offer some advice to manage this energy because it can be very tumultuous. It can bring up a lot to the surface. It can bring up the deepest, darkest emotions and feelings that we have within us. So I want to offer some guidance to work with this energy, because again, it can be very real and it can get dark. It can go into all sorts of places. But if you are feeling old energies, anger, frustration, sadness, hi Mira, it's normal. And to be gentle with yourself. And if you're consciously working towards manifestation, working towards peace and happiness and love and all those good things, and you have moments where you go right into the ditch, as I call it, it is completely normal. Oh, hey Sergio, good to see you. Yeah, all of these energies are completely normal, and we can't be hard on ourselves when we stumble and fall, when we go back into old patterns, when things come up to the surface, when we get angry, when we get frustrated, when we get mad. Yeah, it's good to see you as well. Yeah, that's great. And truthfully too, hey Maud, how are you? We all know, I mean, if you're familiar with working with these cycles, you get familiar with, this is temporary. It's temporary. It goes dark. It can, for some of us, it can go really dark, and then it gets better. And then you feel lighter, you have more empowerment, or you have clarity, or you feel stronger with yourself. This is the cycle, and this is our constant cycle, and we all go through it in some degree. So it is very much of, oh, are you together? You're with Mira? Are you both together? I know you were traveling. Right. So the last new moon, if you are going through, again, depression, anxiety, be aware of the mind and all those stories that are coming to surface. Sometimes they're old programming. I can't do this. I am frustrated. Why is this happening? Some of those things keep resurfacing, so that we can identify and connect the dots and start to release and be conscious of it. And then the next phase is trying to, and this is the hardest thing I have ever done. The hardest thing I have ever done is reframing my mindset. And I'm not kidding how difficult it is. It is constant work. It is, when you fall into it, when you fall into the depths, when you fall into the darkness, or when you fall into the hard energy, whatever it is so, so difficult to get out. And we need to get out as fast as possible, because if we go into it, it's okay to go into it and to give it some time, but try not to go in there too long, because we can get sucked in and we become, we create a loop that we get stuck in. Those old thoughts that create emotions, it becomes very addictive, and then we go right into it. There's nothing wrong with being there. Like I said, we need to also understand this energy, because a lot of these stories, they could be old stories, they could be attachments from the past, they could be relationship issues playing out over and over again, they could be self-confidence issues, they could be anger, frustration, but often they're the same stories that come up, right? So they're telling you what needs to be looked at, or maybe what needs to be released or addressed, for you to let them go and work through the process of letting it go. And it is a black hole, totally, totally. I still go there. I mean, I have been doing conscious work, like really, really dedicated to this work for years. And I'm talking all sorts of things that I've been working on to just make things better and not feel this anymore. And I went from probably 90% in it of my time now down to probably 25%. And it is constant effort and it is constant work. But I feel like I need to talk about this, because we all face these things. We all go through them. We all have traumas. We all have stories. We all have hurt. We all have pain. We all have all of it. It's our human experience. And that's what we're coming from. And the moon amplifies it. So even if it's a new moon or full moon, the full moons, it's tricky. The full moons definitely do bring things to the surface. Yeah, exactly. Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, you can laugh at these things too, because when we're going through it, it's pretty crazy. And truthfully, the crazy part of it is that what we feel and what we think is not real. It doesn't exist. It's a thought. It's a memory. It's a thing. It's from the past. It's old energy. It doesn't exist in the physical realm. So that's the... Oh, that's great, Mira. Yeah, the moon is about our shadow, for sure. But we have to go there. We have to go there. We have to go into our past. We have to go into our shadow. We all have it. So we have to let go of our pride and our ego and face it and be gentle with ourselves and be compassionate with ourselves and be compassionate with others. And I remember watching on TikTok, I think it was last week, this such a sad video of this woman who clearly had mental traumas or issues, and she was being filmed for her interaction with a couple people, and she was in distress. Like, she was very distressed. She was very, like, she had a lot going on, and these people were lashing out at her. And they were calling her crazy and leave us alone and stop following us. I think it was in a Costco store. I don't know if you've seen that video or not. But we have to remember that everyone has their story. And we need to look at everyone in every situation with compassion. There are so many people hurt in this world. There are so many people suffering. There's so much going on, and we don't know the backstory. You know, even if someone appears to be mean and evil and harsh, they come from a story. They come from a hard story. They come from a hard life, a lot of trauma, a lot of pain. So we all have it, and we all have to be compassionate with ourselves and with each other in this world. That's how we're going to, it's the only way we're going to make this better, is by seeing things through a different lens. And it's easy to react and to be confrontational or upset with others or with ourselves when we get caught up in this energy. So that's why it's so important. Does one approach a weeping angel? Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Absolutely. We have a long way. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We all have a hard past. We all have a hard past in some degree. Some have worse, harder histories than others. Ancestral history, ancestral lineage, our experience in our lifetime, our family's experiences. It's all playing out. And when we go through the down moments, when we're feeling at our lowest times, we need to see what's playing out in our mind, where we are giving our energy to. Don't fight it. I mean, allow for it to cycle through. See it for what it is. Try to understand that it's not your reality, that it's not your reality of your life or your situation, that it is just a memory or is energy processing, and try not to become that story and try not to become that energy. It is processing. It is a process to go through this, right? But the more that you can feel into, okay, this is not real, this is coming up for a reason, or just allow it to cycle through, then it's easier to understand and to work through. But try not to stay there too long. That is the key. So I think I mentioned this in a couple other videos before, where I remember reading an article, and it was from Beyonce, and it was a long time ago. And she has a 1-day rule, and I loved it because she's, I mean, again, we all go through our down times, our highs and our lows. And when she would fall and when she would have a hard time, she would give herself a day. And that stuck with me. And I actually really appreciated that. And I try to stick to that when I have a down time. And it's hard when you're very sensitive to energy as well, because you can really get stuck in it, and it might last more than 1 day. Actually, even with the new moon, I was in it for, I think, 2 or 3 days. But it wasn't constant. It fluctuated because I was trying to work my way out of it. So it wasn't 3 days of really, really, really hard time. It was 3 days of, I slept a lot. and I was working my way out of it. So it wasn't 3 hard days. It was up and down, up and down. Oh, thank you, Jack. Thank you. It's great to have you here. Yeah, so I'm just trying to offer, guidance for one, for sure. But also that when you go through these moments, of course, it's quite normal. We still have a lot of new and full moons to go. So this is going to be something we have to get used to in some way. We have to get used to working with this energy, and we have to start, being proactive as well, knowing what's going to come up. And okay, if I have a couple days that are going to be, some of them will be fine. Some of them will be completely fine and you won't notice a thing, or you'll feel empowered and you'll feel really strong and you'll be able to conquer the world. Every full moon and new moon offers a different energy. However, it is really important that when you do go through a downtime, that again, give yourself some space. Be kind with yourself. Be very aware of what's happening in your mind and in your emotions. What are the stories that are playing out? Try to distance and separate yourself from that energy and allow yourself some time to even go for a walk outside. Distract yourself, try to find things to distract yourself from wallowing in it, because it gets really familiar. So when our mind creates a story, it sends a signal, our emotions get triggered, then we get stuck in this loop. It becomes very addictive. And that's how we don't move through these times. But again, yeah, you spiral in or out. Exactly. Yeah, so Cancer season is, it's ruled by the moon, and the moon is all about intuition, the emotions, and creation. That's why the moon is so effective for manifestation. But in order for us to manifest what we want, we have to go into self, and we have to peel back the layers to discover who we are, to heal from the past, and to create the life of meaning that we feel called towards. And it all comes from ourselves unprogramming or unwinding from our past so that we can reprogram and put ourselves on the path that we want. And Cancer season is very much of intuition. It's a very nurturing energy. It's a very emotional energy. It's about using the emotions. So if we think of the thank you. Yeah, thank you. The Chariot. Yeah, for Cancer, right? The Chariot. And then the moon for fears and illusions. And that exactly, the moon card in tarot is all about fears and illusions. And so it is very much of looking into ourselves, addressing our fears, and how are we seeing the world and seeing relationships and seeing ourselves based on our illusions. And the whole point of the moon card in tarot is that when we go through traumas in our life, then we start forming perceptions of our outer world, relationships, interactions, ourselves, and they become distorted perceptions until we peel back the layers and go within to address the truth. And we have to go through this process and we have to keep going. But then when you come out, you have clarity. Then you have an understanding of yourself. Then you have an understanding of reality. Then you have an understanding of all these things. Then your path is illuminated. And that's why working with the moon is so, so powerful and so important. And something I definitely will keep specializing in. Yeah. How do you peel back? Sorry, my mom is calling me. I had to cancel the call. How do you peel back layers and go within? Right. It is a lot of work. How you can start, though, I would suggest working with the moon, being aware of the energy specifically, because it does offer a lot of very potent energy to go within. So pay attention to the full moons, pay attention to the new moons. And I was going to say, full moons are generally more intense. New moons, I was tricked on this one. I thought we were going to get a break, but for me, it was actually, this new moon was actually quite intense. I was tired for 3 days. I had a lot coming to the surface, a lot of really, really hard energy, a lot of all sorts of things coming to the surface. Very difficult. But when you peel back the layers, it is everything from going into the past, understanding, spending a lot of time with yourself, not being influenced by the outside, and getting to know yourself and doing anything that you can do to do that. And that probably is the best starting point, is what you can do to get to know yourself. And feeling, the feeling aspect is so important. That leads into the intuitiveness, and that leads into working with your heart. So connecting with your heart, connecting with your subconscious, and then it's almost working back a little bit to see, excuse me, what is in my way of understanding myself or living to my full potential? And what does it feel like to live in my full potential? And sometimes we don't even know because we haven't had the opportunity yet to do that. So a lot of meditation, spending time with yourself, asking those questions, diving deep and asking everything. You can go on YouTube, you can go into so many different social media channels for finding out information. I mean, it's endless, and it's good to go down the rabbit hole every now and then and explore and ask questions. And a lot of it is peeling back the layers of going into your history, child history, family history, observing yourself with relationships, observing yourself interacting with people, observing yourself with yourself, what you say about yourself, how you feel about yourself, your confidence or lack of, all of these things. These are all just layers and layers, and we're multidimensional. I mean, we have so many different aspects to ourselves and different aspects to how we live and perceive and feel and interact with other people and love and hate and all of those things, all of those emotions. This is all part of our human experience. But again, at the foundation of it all is to be kind with ourselves through the process and understand that whatever we've experienced in our life is just part of our experience, and there's no one to blame, and there's no one to accuse of what we've experienced. We need to start owning it and we need to start to fix it and change it for ourselves. Yeah, exactly. And then you step into becoming a deliberate creator, and that's exactly, Ocean, what you just said. Every trait you see in another that you admire or hate will say more about ourselves or yourself than who we're projecting onto. It's the law of attraction in a way, where the more confident you are with yourself and the more that your heart is open and healed, and the more compassionate that you are, and the more confident that you are with your boundaries and your own sense of self, then that is what you are going to attract. Those are the kind of relationships that you're going to be in. Those are the kind of relationships that you're going to attract as well. So going back to Cancer season, so this one, so we're here for a while, and it is all about the emotions. It is all about the heart. It is all about the emotions. It's all about returning home. So in the zodiac calendar, Cancer is the first water sign. So we had Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. And we start with Aries. So Aries is about the fire, it's about the spark. It's about the start, the initiation. And then we go into Taurus, which is taking that spark, bringing it into form, into the practical. It's fixed signs, so giving it the time to nurture and grow into form. And then we have Gemini, which is all of the mind. So integration, knowledge, distributing information, very fast energy. And then we have Cancer, where we take all of that, what we've started, what we've learned, how we've changed, and we bring it into home. And home could also be the physical space. It can be home and relationships with loved ones. But most importantly, I feel there should be a focus on your sense of home. So starting to feel into who you are, what changes you've gone through over the last couple months or few months, what you can integrate from everything you've learned over the last while, and step into more of your confidence with who you are. And integrating that from an emotional standpoint, from a feeling standpoint, and from an intuitive standpoint. So connecting with your intuition and bonding with your intuition, knowing what the intuition is telling you and knowing how to use it to guide you forward. And it's hard for us to fine tune it, because a lot of us, this is society, we come from a very busy lifestyle. We come from a history where we're not being taught these things. We're not being taught how to use our intuition. We have to figure it out on our own. And it comes through practice, it comes through time. But the more that we can fine tune our intuition and let that guide us, then the easier life is going to be, because we're honoring our authentic self. And we're honoring what feels right for us, rather than getting stuck in the mind or overthinking things or getting in the way. And the more that we get in the way, the less we enjoy with life. And we limit ourselves, and we limit our abilities to experience life in all forms, in all areas, all pleasures. So it's very much of honoring the intuition right now and using your intuition to connect with yourself. Who are you? What is important for you? Where do you stand with certain matters without the influence of others? This is all about you returning home, not being influenced by parents, not being influenced by friends, not being influenced by society, not being influenced by the brands out there, the other influencers out there. This is all about you and spending time with yourself and honoring who you are and getting in touch with that and using your intuition as your guide. What feels right. And I had a mentor, she mentioned something really great to me. It's almost pretend as if you're blindfolded and making decisions based on how you feel, heightening your senses, right? So heightening your senses so that you don't need to rationalize everything. And overthinking is not a good thing. Over-rationalizing is not a good thing. And again, we have a society where being in the mind and thinking and producing and doing is a good thing. Yeah, you listen to your heart. Your heart is your guide. Your heart is your guide. Your heart is tied to your intuition. And also, too, your body sends signals to you all the time. So if there's something showing up in your body, we have to listen to that. But it also is learning as we go. Because again, we're not taught these things. So we're having to learn within ourselves. But the more that we can go in with ourselves, with our own journey, then the stronger our senses are going to be, the stronger our intuition is going to be, and the easier life is going to get. And I did not honor my intuition for years. I was trying to prove myself. I was trying to prove to my family. I was trying to prove to my peer network. I was trying to show how successful I was. And the harder that I was trying, the more I was failing, because I wasn't honoring myself. And I was having to work twice as hard to try and succeed in that area. And I didn't even feel good about it, but it's all that I knew. And it's how I was raised. It was what I thought society, what it would be for being accepted in society or accepted in that industry that I was working in. So it's all about getting true with ourselves. So this is Cancer. Then when you get true with yourself and you get real with yourself and you're in alignment with your intuition and you're in tune with others based on your heart and based on your connection with others from an emotional standpoint, from an intuitive standpoint, from the heart space, then we get Leo season later this month as well, which is all about center stage. So use this time to really connect with who you are, what you are drawn towards. And Cancer also is a cardinal energy. So it is all about initiation. It's all about starting things. It's all about moving forward with your intuition, what's guiding you, where your heart is leading you. And then we move into Leo season, which is taking center stage. And it's basically saying, I'm here, I am here, and I am ready to show the world the real me. And it's all about being loud and proud. So that's what's coming up next. And that's how the zodiac calendar works. So it's these cycles that we go through. And right now it's about being within. It's about connecting with our heart. It's about connecting with relationships, connecting with love, connecting with our intuition, and then preparing for going outward with that. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I just wanted to touch on some of these key points. Again, the majority of it, I really wanted to touch on being kind with self, going through the process. And if you've been experiencing a few lows over the last few days, completely normal. A lot of us have experienced that, but it's just knowing that it's energy cycling through. It's not real in the sense of they're old patterns and old energies and old stories that are coming up to the surface. So let it pass, and then we get to move into a greater sense of self, into more confidence, and into more clarity. And then we have a full moon, another super moon in a week and a half. So we'll prepare for that in Capricorn. So it'll be a bit of a different energy type. So I feel with that one, with Capricorn, it is very much Capricorn's very much about structure, very much about organization, almost institutional in a way, like structure, organization, building. So the full moon will be very much of releasing old beliefs or anything that is holding you back from building your future. So that's what's going to show up as a theme. So I'm going to log off. I hope that offered some insight and help and guidance at this time. If you've been going through any of these energies over the last couple of days or few days, I'm sending much love to all of you out there. It was so great to see some of the familiar names and familiar names anyway. I was going to say faces, but it's always good to see you here. So I'm going to log off. Again, if you're feeling any of these emotions, you're very welcome, Shannon. If you're feeling any of these emotions, completely normal. So you know what to do, right? All right. I'm going to leave it here. Sending much love. Bye, everyone.